Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice for radio. So today, we're going to be having a little bit of a look at Tag Team GXs. We're going to be looking at why they're so gosh darn good, and how you actually go about beating them. Because they're amazing, they're doing a lot of winning, they are not unbeatable. Now, I have actually shown you on this channel already a winning deck list from each of the 6 Tag Team GXs. So what we're going to do is quickly run through the 6 Tag Team GXs, how it actually is that they go about winning, and then talk about some of the decks that we can use to take them down. So the first one we ever had revealed was Pikachu and Zekrom Tag Team GX. And this one kind of fuels itself. The first attack does 150 damage for free energy, and attaches free energy to a Pokemon, and then you can do 200 damage plus 170 to the bench, if you've got 6 energy on there. But what you can do here is use things like Thunder Mount to introduce the attack cost, Tapu Koko Prism Star to accelerate a little bit of energy, and then use the first attack to go for the second attack. Now, Magikarp and Wailord, we've actually seen a couple different ways of playing it. It's got the ridiculous 300 HP, and it attacks for 5 energy, which is a lot. And we've seen it with Naganadel and Quagsire. Naganadel accelerates energy from the discard pile, and then Quagsire moves it up to your Magikarp and Wailord. But we also saw a video the other day that played it with Blastoise, that being the new one, whereby you can look at the top 6 cards of your deck, and attach as many water energy as you find there to your Pokemon in any way that you like. These decks, both the Magikarp and Wailord ones, they both did play the new Articuno, which for 2 energy does 70 damage and moves 2 energy to the bench. But it's also got an ability that when it's in the active, you cannot use supporters against water Pokemon, which means essentially your opponent cannot Guzma it out of the way, which is quite useful. Mimikyu and Gengar has been played with Garbodor. It's only for 2 energy, and essentially you're mostly doing it manually. You're just using Garbodor as an extra attacker there. If they do play item cards, Garbodor comes in and smashes. If they don't, Mimikyu and Gengar does 50 damage for each trainer card they've got in their hand. That sounds pretty good to me. Eevee and Snorlax has been played with Naganadel and Quagsire along with Magikarp and Wailord, but we also saw it in a deck the other day just with Kiawe to accelerate energy in the early game, and then Wishful Baton to keep the energy on, so essentially Kiawe gets your first, but then Wishful Baton keeps them rolling. We've seen Latios and Latias. Now this does a quite spectacular 240 damage, but the downside, and it is a somewhat significant downside here, is that you need to discard free energy in order to actually do this. So what you do is you pair it with Malamar. You have got to then attach a water energy to it, which is a bit of a pain, but then you can just smash every turn using Malamar. And then finally, Celebi and Venusaur has generally been used without energy acceleration, just using double colorless energy, using the fairly recent Shaymin, which came around in Lost Thunder to heal a bit of damage, and using Crushing Hammer to get rid of energy, and just sitting there healing and using Crushing Hammer and manually attaching, because you do 50 damage plus Burn, Confusion and Poison for free energy, 150 for 4, and if you've got 5 energy on there, you do 180, and shuffle your entire discard pile back into your deck, so you get all your Crushing Hammer back, but you can also play stuff like Potion and get them back. And make no mistake about it, Tag Team GXs are taking over. This isn't like they've seen a little bit of play here and there. They are taking over, they are great, they are crushing the metagame in Japan. They are not, however, unbeatable, and they are not the only decks that are winning. What I actually really like is if you were just having a format where you had to play Tag Team GXs, I think Latios and Latias could be the #1 draft choice there. Because without a choice band, you're getting a 1-hit KO on Pikachu and Zekrom. You're getting a 1-hit KO on Gengar and Mimikyu. And then if you add a choice band, you'll get Celebi and Venusaur, and you will get Eevee and Snorlax. The problem here is that you've got Magikarp and Wailord with their 300 HP, which is somewhat phenomenally large. And one of the things you can do here is just use Tag Team GXs to take down Tag Team GXs. Pikachu and Zekrom can actually not get a one-hit KO on any of them until you bring in Electro Power, which will work quite nicely to go and get the KOs here. Eevee and Snorlax can get a one-hit KO on them, but only using their GX attack, and even then it's only the 240s, that's Mimikyu and Gengar and Pikachu and Zekrom. It cannot unfortunately get the others. And Mimikyu and Gengar can KO depending on how many trainer cards you've got in your hand. The reason I like Latias and Latios better in a you've got to play Tag Team GX's format is because it one-hit KOs Tag Team GXs in a way that most of the others just plain don't. But what if you don't want to play Tag Team GXs? Well, initially, one deck that might be looking quite good is Blacephalon Naganadel, except actually Naganadel Blacephalon, it's not the counter you might be thinking. Because if we take, for argument's sake, Raz Walt's deck, with which he got second place at the recent Harrogate Regional Championships, he played 16 energy, 15 fire, and obviously a beast energy. And you only need to KO 2 Tag Team GXs to win the game. So even something like a Magikarp and Wailord Tag Team GX, you need 6 energy to get the KO. Well, that's 12 to get 2, and you're playing 16. But you need to get 6 energy on the field and lost zone them in order to actually get the one-hit KO. And you can't 2-hit KO Tag Team GXs, because generally speaking, the majority of these decks are playing Ace Roller, because you're giving up free prizes and you've got a huge HP. Why would you not be playing Ace Roller? So something like Blacephalon is just going to struggle to get as much energy as they need on the field quickly enough. Maybe they can have a nuts turn or two with Beast Ring, but that really is about the best you're hoping for. The good news is that because we've got these cards crushing over in Japan at the moment, we've also got some information about what's beating these decks. So the lovely Code64 and the lovely Tunu1223 over on Twitter have shown that there were 3 tournaments right after these were released. And actually, over in Osaka, no Tag Team GXs made the top 3. And what we saw was a Gardevoir Zoroark deck. Now, Gardevoir here really seems to be a great counter for Tag Team GXs. And the reason's extremely simple. You get to attach an extra fairy energy using your ability, which is nice. But the attack does 30 damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. And if you look at the attack cost of these Tag Team GXs, Pikachu and Zekrom, 6 energy. Eevee and Snorlax, minimum 4 energy. Celebi and Venusaur's probably got 4 energy. Magikarp and Wailord's got 5 energy. And okay, Latias and Latios probably don't have much energy attached to them, but they are weak to Fairy, so they're about the only one. Mimikyu and Gengar, I suppose, won't have much energy attached to them. But then again, you can always just pile energy on Gardevoir. And that's essentially what you need here. In a world of free prize Pokemon, having 2 prize Pokemon that can get big one-hit KOs become amazing. And Gardevoir is really well positioned. You hit weakness on 1, 4 of them rely on having a lot of energy, and then it's really just Mimikyu and Gengar causing a problem, but even then you can pile energy on, like I've said. We also saw that Ultra Necrozma was doing fairly well. That ended up taking 2nd place at the tournament. And what we've got is a Pokemon that can just do huge damage. Ultra Necrozma does 20 damage base, plus 80 more for each psychic energy you discard attached to it. So if you discard 3 psychic energy, then that's 240, plus the 20 base is 260, that's everything other than Eevee and Snorlax and Magikarp and Wailord. You can add a choice band and get Eevee and Snorlax, and Magikarp and Wailord. I mean, look, if you discard 4 Psychic Energy, which with Malamar around is not the end of the world, then all of a sudden you're getting a one-hit KO on any of them, making Ultra Necrozma really well positioned. We also saw that over in Hiroshima, we saw a first place finish for Vikavolt Rayquaza. And again, what we see here is a 2-prize Pokemon able to get giant one-hit KOs on a 3-prize Pokemon. So Rayquaza does 30 damage for each basic grass and basic lightning attached to all of your Pokemon. So if you can get 9 energy out, that's everything except Magikarp and Wailord, 10 and you're getting them as well. And I should remind you at this stage, Tapu Koko Prism Star, you can pop it to the Lost Zone and get an extra 2 energy out. And Shaymin Prism Star essentially has the same attack as Rayquaza, 2 grass energy, and it does 30 damage for each basic energy attached to all of your Pokemon. Now, one deck we did see doing fairly well was Tapu Koko Persimmon, spreading with Tapu Koko and then using Persimmon to do a fair amount of damage. Honestly, I'm less convinced by this, because you're hitting weakness on Eevee and Snorlax, and you're hitting weakness on Pikachu and Zekrom. So against them, you're going to be absolutely rolling. I am not entirely convinced this can stand up to all of the Tag Team GXs. It did win over in Osaka, so I could be wrong, but shall we say, ladies and gentlemen, that I am a little bit skeptical. In terms of your traditional non-GX decks, the one we're playing at the moment, stuff like Granbull and White Kyurem probably aren't going to be doing too well, because they're miles away from getting one-hit KOs, leaving you open to Ace Roller as the Tag Team GX player, and they should all be fairly easily KO'd by the Tag Team GXs. But we do have Aerodactyl coming in, and Aerodactyl does 180 damage for free energy, just so long as you've got no EXs and GXs on your field. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't going to one-hit KO these Tag Team GXs, but what it is going to do is give you very comfortable 2-hit KOs while giving up 1 prize, and Granbull's awkward because you got to keep having a 0-card hand. And White Kyurem's awkward because once you get the energy out, you're kind of a little bit, you need to keep it rolling, and that's not the easiest thing to do. Whereas Aerodactyl runs with stuff like Malamar, and it's much, much easier. We don't know exactly what the format's going to look like between now and when Tag Team GXs are out over here. What we do know is that Tag Team GXs are good. They are seeing a lot of success, and that really it's going to be these big powerhouse decks like Ultra Necrozma, Gardevoir, Rayquaza. These are going to be the counters that make a big difference in this metagame. So there we go. Those are the Tag Team GXs and how we take them down. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, I would very much love to hear from you guys. So let me know in the comment section what you think about this, what you're going to be playing when these are rolling. Go nuts, but remember the most important rule as always, be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays for some more Wassy action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.